Today's deck jumped to the front of the line thanks to today's patron. Priority deck requests are one of the many perks you get by becoming a patron. Consider supporting the channel today. Welcome back to today's build. I'll be your guide to this wonderful game we all love. Let's get started. Today's deck is not much of a diplomat at all. His name is Kyler Sigardian Emissary, and this is Diplomatic Devastation. Hang around to the end of the video to learn more about a giveaway. Kyler is a 2/2 human for 5 mana that gets bigger when our other humans enter, and makes those other humans bigger for each counter on Kyler, not necessarily just 1/1 counters. Since playing humans gives us both humans on the board and counters on Kyler, we'll place a greater emphasis on humans than we will on counters. Right now on EDH Rec, there are 2 strategies vying for dominance in focused Kyler decks, and both have their strengths as well as weaknesses. But what I want to showcase today is a third strategy that I think can tie together some of their strengths while shedding some of their weaknesses. To start with, none of the 3 Sigardas are humans. While they all provide some kind of benefit for humans, none of these effects are especially desirable for our game plan. The closest one to making the cut here is Huron's Grace, because she actually makes humans, but not at a rate that we really like. Pass. Next is Mikaeus, Abzan Falconer, and Champion of the Parish, who all have the wrong ideas for the wrong creatures. There is no part of Kyler's text that cares about putting counters on your other creatures, only on himself. So while these cards are humans, they're not actually doing anything that we really care about. It's okay for our humans to have their own counters, and in fact there's a synergy with the Bogbonder, but that needs to be gravy on top of value that they're already contributing to our game plan in other ways, and these really don't. Victory's Envoy is really slow and really expensive, not to mention that its mana cost and value over time generation mean anytime we have this in hand, we'll be asked to play this instead of our commander. Luminarch Aspirant does a much better impression of this, since we really only care about counters on our commander, and it does this immediately, and for cheaper at that. Inspiring Call, Laid to Rest, and Shamanic Revelation are really moving in the wrong direction for us. Again, our deck doesn't care about putting counters on any creatures other than Kyler, so Inspiring Call isn't drawing very many cards, or protecting very many creatures. Shamanic Revelation probably does gain us a lot of life, but for 5 mana, I'm really unimpressed with the amount of card draw this puts out. And we're not sacrificing our humans, it's not an Aristocrats deck, so Laid to Rest isn't helping here. Seraph the Viper's Fang, Stalwart Pathlighter, and Sigardian Zealot are all humans that give buffs, but not many of them are especially relevant to our game plan. The Pathlighter's indestructibility is only ever active on our turn, and since humans only tend to come in 3 base powers, the Zealot's buff won't go very far, and Coven isn't a guarantee. The best of these is the Hexproof that Seraph gives us, but I'm still not impressed with it, and we need room for our new game plan that does an even better job of protecting our board. Herald of War, King Darien, and Juniper Order Ranger are not doing a lot to contribute to our board, and all put power in the wrong places. The Herald and Ranger both have the same mana value as our commander, making it awkward to play them when we have the mana, and both are much too slow. While Darien can make humans, this ability is overcosted, and the indestructible only applies to our tokens, when the piece most in need of protection is our commander. So what's our timeline? On turn 1, we'll play Avacyn's Pilgrim, Esper Sentinel, and Worm's Crossing Patrol to ramp, draw, and deploy more humans on demand. On turn 2, we can play Ambitious Farmhand, Biophagus, and Catilda Dawnheart Prime for more mana and more counters, but the counters here are just gravy. On turn 3, we can play Adeline Resplendent Cathar, Champion of Lamholt, and Huron Blade Elite to further develop our board state. We also have Foul Emissary, Militia Bugler, and Somberwalled Sage to ramp and find more humans so that we don't run out of gas. Turn 4 is our target for playing Kyler, but if we can't, we can play Pure Imaginative Rascal, Lord of the Third Path, and Sawblade Slinger. It might also be a great time to play Druid of Purification, Tribute to the World Tree, or Sanctum Prelate, choosing 5 or 6 to stop most board wipes. Since our curve tops out at 5, naming 6 means we're totally unaffected, but naming 5 is probably stronger, and there are only 4 cards in our deck with that mana cost, so use your discretion. Next, with Kyler on the field, we need humans or counters. Increasing Devotion, Reverent Hoplite, and Visions of Glory will grant us a supply of humans, while Storm the Seed Core and Blessing of Frost can provide an influx of counters on the one place we care to have them, while mounting additional advantage, so you'll need Snowlands for this. If you've been paying close attention so far, you'll have noticed that a lot of these humans we've been playing have entered the battlefield effects. In the 2 strategies mentioned earlier, Strategy 1 had balancing issues and Strategy 2 had less support and was more vulnerable. Normally, you don't want flicker effects in a 1/1 counters deck because you lose the counters. But this is not a 1/1 counters deck, it's a humans deck. Even when we flicker our whole board, Kyler is the only creature we care about having the counters, and when we flicker our whole board, he refills his counters. Using cards like Eerie Interlude and Semester's End, we can defensively protect our board in the event of a board wipe, and all the humans we played before Kyler get to re-enter. Because you choose the targets, you can even use these to keep Kyler's counters while restocking them on an opponent's end step, to close out the game on your turn. Just imagine holding up the Interlude and flickering Druid and Hoplite and all our other ETB effects and getting extra counters on Champion Kyler. Our endgame is not anything clever, it's how these colors love to end games. We make a bunch of humans and crash in for the kill with either Storm the Seed Core or Overwhelming Stampede, and that's enough said on that. This deck is very creature heavy, and ordinarily that would mean that we're vulnerable to board wipes, but because we're running flicker effects, we can actually dodge a lot of board wipes and come back into a board at full strength. It's versatile enough to die down opposing decks and reliably closes out games. However, because of the high setup cost and our commander's mana value combined, the highest this deck can really climb is a 7, and so that's where it'll stay.
Special thanks to all my patrons on Patreon. When I started this channel, I wanted to provide insight into deck building decisions with my videos. In practice, what often happens is I talk for 30 minutes about every little nuance of a deck, which is longer than I'm comfortable with posting to YouTube, so a lot of that discussion gets cut for time. Here, patrons can find extended discussions on their favorite decks, in-depth guides on complex game actions, request priority deck techs, and more. So if you enjoy this content, consider becoming a patron today. One of the things my patrons have made possible is a special series of deck techs that I'm really excited to show off to you guys. When I finally get them all uploaded, I'll be giving away a special collection of altars and tokens that I've made, corresponding to each deck on the channel. For example, for the Merfolk Lord of Bones deck, the prize is a set of double-faced altars of the most prominent cards in the deck, whose backsides are set in the constellation frame with updated text to show that they're acting as enchantments now. For every 1,000 views on each video, I'll increase the prize pool for that deck. All you have to do to be eligible to win is be subscribed to the channel. If you like this video, the next decks I'll be looking at can be found here in no particular order, so if you see something you like, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss them, and check out the playlist in the top left for more. Thanks for watching!